Static buzz in the midnight air. Travic and Spook are in the gamer's lair. Loot drops falling like a neon rain. Pixel worlds driving us insane. Halo rings light up the fight. Sonic speed blurs through the night. Diablo's demons in the dungeon's breath. Path of exile paths leading to death. Live farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide. Talk of bosses grinding bones. Legends born in gaming zones. Quests that stretch beyond the frame. In this podcast we name the game. Controllers on the heartbeat song. Spooker's laugh keeps the vibe strong. Travic's words cut through the noise. Gaming tales from girls and boys. Loot farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide. 'Controllers hum the heartbeat song. Spooker's laugh keeps the vibe strong. Travic's words cut through the noise. Gaming tales from girls and boys. The farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide.
Three, two, one, action. Do we have a, here's my question. Do we have one of these big, like, slapping action buttons? Can we get the action clap?
Welcome back to episode 2 of Loot, Farming, and Gossip with me and the co-host, Travic,
Hello.
and a special guest star named Darth Microtransaction, also known as DM.
I like that you referred to me as the guest star. I already feel special. I get the star title.
Hey, you are special. I mean, you took the time to just respond to this little nobody and it meant the world to me.
We're all nobodies on the internet, my dude. We're all small PoE content creators playing a little game. So,
hey, you know what? The fact that anybody's willing to reach out and answer, I appreciate that. So, we always have this one burning question when it comes to the beginning of the podcast, right? What was the main game you first remember back in the nostalgia feelies type thing getting into video games? Like what was the first thing that just sticks out super, super hard towards you when you think of like my first experience of video games?
Okay, well, at the end, you say your first experience with video games. So, like, my first experience with video games is watching my family play them. Before, like, I picked up the controller, right? Like, it would have been
Right.
my family playing them. So, we kind of had this, like, crappy apartment in, like, the next city over back in the day. And what we do is we sit around and watch my dad play, like, video games. Or at least that's what I remember, primarily, because that's what I love, right? And so, the first one I ever saw him play was a game called Descent by Interplay. It's kind of like a spaceship.
It was like an Apache, like a joystick flying around, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, real, actually, like kind of ahead of its time in a way.
Oh, 100%.
And so you had the free 360 degree of movement and all that, and he loved that shit. He hasn't really played games anymore, but like he used to. And so I watched him play that, and then we had a Super Nintendo. We didn't have TV or anything growing up, and because we were a little bit more careful with what was around the household. So what we mostly did was like play games, and I watched them play Descent, and then I watched them play Super Metroid. Would have been like my other game that I remember because so I had like some actually kind of bangers. It's like my first experience, to be honest. And then we did stuff like Carmen San Diego, and Myst.
10 points.
No, games kids could play. I watched them play Myst and stuff. And so my first memories are really. It's kind of ironic, honestly, because it's what we do now, all of us. But it's my first memories were watching other people play video games, and it's kind of the other way around now. Like people watch me play video games. I remember I used to watch my brother play Age of Empires 2 and stuff like that. There was The Sims, and I would always be like, oh, and now it's my turn because we would trade on we'd take like 20 minutes to put on the stove, beep boop, 20 minutes, and
Yep.
brother, time to get off. It's my turn, right? And then I would watch him play because I like the games. But then sometimes he watched me. Most of the time, he wouldn't watch me play. So I would sit there and play along. I'd be like, okay, that's his turn. So those are my first experience with video games. It's definitely like interacting with them in what I would consider a fairly wholesome way with the family.
Heck yeah, nice. But as far as like your first, like deep down, when you think nostalgia now, looking back, your first game that you like dived into that like you couldn't wait.
Sure, yeah, I see where you're going. Okay, well, the answer is always going to be RuneScape. I mean, if you look around here, like it's just there's RuneScape shit littered here. I literally have like a dozen IRL skill capes. Like I'm just really, 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 really in love with the game. And before, funny enough, before Diablo 4 happened, like I didn't think I was going to get like lucky enough for like people actually watching me with the game. But before that happened, I was building out a Sprinter van, which we still have. That it was being built out to literally live out. It's not just a single guy. I was living in this shitty cabin. It's not that shit. I kind of like the cabin, but small 0 bedroom type of thing. And all I really wanted to do was play RuneScape, and I was doing YouTube, and I enjoyed YouTube, and I was covering various like mobile games and whatever I happened to be playing at the time. I covered dozens of games over like 8 years or whatever it's been on YouTube now, and I was building out a Sprinter van because I was just going to have a backup plan where if the YouTube went to shit because I wasn't making a ton of money or anything like that, that I would just live out of the Sprinter van. My brother lived out of his van, and not in like he has to live in a van type way. He has a full-time job. He's an adult. He works for fairly high level for the government at the time. And he really liked the tiny home, lifestyle of a van, and he was really good at building those. So, and my dad had one and all this. My family, they got a garage, and they're just really into, like mechanical shit. I've never been a big mechanical guy, but they are. And so I was going to build one of those, and we got pretty far into it because I wanted to get max cape. Like I always just wanted to grind. I was like, all I wanted to do was grind RuneScape, and I could do YouTube out of the van. And then, so, I was kind of building a lifestyle, funny enough, around just wanting to play the game. And then I got busier. But yeah, no, to go back to your original question, it's very, very easily RuneScape for me. Like, no question.
Yeah, no. Quick side note on that. You said, like, tiny homes. Did you ever watch the big tiny home series that they had going on? What was that, a couple years ago, maybe? Maybe it's still going. I don't know.
Not sure which series you're referring to, but I've seen some TV shows on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of YouTube videos, a lot, Trent the Traveler, all these guys. I watched plenty of YouTube series on it as well.
Nice. Yeah.
There's a big truck guy in Alaska. It's called like Big Truck Small Home or something. I forget what it is, but there's a predominant guy who has a log cabin built out the back of his truck and stuff too. And on YouTube. Nice. The community is actually fairly small in Alaska, so like everyone kind of knows each other.
Right. Cool.
I feel like RuneScape's like the only one of the earlier games that I actually never dived into. I think it was more on the EverQuest side of things when people were playing RuneScape.
Yeah, EQ would have been, I think, even more OG. I think that was, 90s, right? RuneScape would have been 01.
It was definitely early.
Yeah,
I missed out on that.
I get told a lot that I should try RuneScape nowadays. You should try I'll reverse the thing and tell you to try old school EverQuest, but it's fun.
I actually will at some point because MMORPGs, and you would think ARPGs because that's just what I make content on, but like MMORPGs are actually my favorite genre, and is what I have the most time into, that and MOBAs. But like MMORPGs are definitely where I would have spent the majority of my time for sure, and probably have my fondest memories of gaming.
That's cool.
Which titles?
Of MMOs?
Yeah.
All of them. I mean, I skipped EverQuest. Like, I played WoW. I mean, I played WoW. I played MapleStory. I played Eve. I played Cabal. I played Cal Online. I played Aeon. I played, you can go down the list of Albion. I was an alpha tester for Albion. Like, almost, I want to say almost any MMO you can name, but there's going to be a lot of niche ones you could probably pull out and defeat me on that claim.
True.
But,
Risk your
So, like,
life.
but there's
There was risk your life,
yeah.
risk your life too. Those are some good ones.
Yeah, no, I played a lot of those. I play a lot of the social stuff too. I tried what was it? Second Life. I tried Second Life. I played Project Entropia, but now it's Entropia Universe. That was an interesting one. Like your
Right.
actual credit card in the game's your real life credit card. I mean, there's some weird MMOs that like I've actually tried. And it probably easily remains my favorite in my favorite genre.
Nice. Well, that's cool. So back down kind of the nostalgia road pathway, right? You recently went back and did a blind Diablo 1 playthrough, right?
Yeah.
So what drew you to the decision to go back and play that through, and what was the experience like? What'd you take from it? How did you enjoy it?
Well, my first Diablo was Diablo 3. I was working at Best Buy at the time.
No, you missed
And
Diablo 2? Dang.
that's the story I'm going to here. So
Dang.
like I was working at Best Buy. Diablo 3 was coming out. We were like everyone's preparing for it, like it's D-Day. I'm about to storm the beach here because everyone knows like there's going to be a million nerds running through this building, and there
crazy.
was. It
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was pretty
Yep.
nuts. So, I, of course, had to jump on the train with everybody else, and I tried it, and, I just had a good time. I won't say it was groundbreaking for me or anything, but, I wasn't, like, really into the genre, and I played a bit of it. I was playing with coworkers. I was a lot more casual at that time, and I was busy playing League of Legends and all these other, like, types of games anyway, right? So, when D3 hit, that was my first ARPG, and then D4 was my second like Diablo, right? And so when I started playing Diablo 4, everyone just kind of assumed I was an ARPG guy. And then I had played all of these other ones. And a little bit was about, if you look on my old channel, there's a VOD somewhere of me doing a blind Diablo 2 playthrough. I think I got through like the first act, or maybe I got into, part of Act 2 or something. I didn't get very far. I played for like a few hours in one live stream. And that was the only time I played it. So everyone's like, oh, you must have loved Diablo 2. And I was like, no. Like I didn't play it. Like I said, I grew up in a household where we were a lot more restrictive with the types of games that we would play. So I didn't play Doom. I didn't play Duke Nukem. Like anything that's really like kind of inappropriate for children, we really didn't play.
Right.
And so I missed out on a lot of these types of games. I don't know if I would have liked them at the time anyway, because I was like I said, playing some other games. But so when they found out that, they're like, well, you gotta, play Diablo 2. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to play Diablo 2 and actually play it all the way through, then I have to go back and try the original. So I'm like, I'm just going to play through all of them in a row. So I played Diablo 1, and then as soon as I beat Diablo 1, I played Diablo 2 all the way to I beat Diablo 2, then I played Diablo 3, then I beat Diablo 3, and then I played Diablo 4 campaign again. So I just kind of did them in a row like that to kind of see the progression, or arguably the reverse progression, like of the Diablo series.
Right.
And so that was a fun series of games to play through. Yeah, I definitely think Diablo 1 is actually my favorite of all of them, if I'm being honest.
It's the only one I haven't played.
I'm
Really?
telling you, it's definitely.
I've been playing. God, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. It's definitely worth the playthrough, especially watching how much DM enjoyed going back and playing it, even in today's world of games that are out there.
The only thing I know about D1 is what Spooker told me about the Sunday in the Cathedral and the line "fresh meat" of the butcher coming out and just destroying you. But no, D2's always been like the absolute best game in the world. Like you should absolutely like deep dive into it. There's like cool mods and everything for it. It's absolutely worth going into.
I hear that, and D2 is like obviously really good. Like it's, I consider it. I think I did a video where I call it's like it's an unbeatable masterpiece in the RPG genre, right? Like I can see how Path of Exile got developed out of Diablo 2.
Right.
By like looking at it, you can very clearly see that. I do
Most
feel.
of PoE. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, go on.
Most of PoE 2 is like taken or feels like it's out of D2.
Sure, yeah. My one thing with D2 is I look at it and it's like this game is obviously very good, and like you can go back and still enjoy it. But it is obvious to me, it's like how I feel about RuneScape, which is you need to have originally played it in order to like optimize loving it as much now. Because it's like obviously a good ARPG, but like I do not feel the same way that I see people that grew up on this game feel. Like my cousin played it a shitload. I talked to my cousin; he loves Diablo 2. You look at a lot of the viewers that joined me during Diablo 4; they're playing Diablo 4 because they love Diablo 2 and they want like another Diablo to fall in love with, right? And people are still comparing it back to these games. So it's like, okay, obviously there's a separation between the haves and have-nots in terms of like people that originally actually played Diablo 2.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think the biggest issue that a lot of people run into is like when Diablo 2 first came out back in 2000, right? And then the expansion, Lord of Destruction, came out in 2001. That's a really early release date for the genre that basically built the genre of the action RPG universe. And to me, playing it then and even going back and playing it now, I still see how far ahead of its time for the industry of video games that it was.
For sure. Yeah, well, 100%. You can see that playing it. That's what I noticed as well. It's like pretty much everything about this game is solid. Also, it's very rare that a game gets what I would consider like all aspects of a game correct. Like you have good voice acting, good story, good music, good itemization, good gameplay, like good art. Like they kind of, like you say, for its time, but also if a game gets everything right, it becomes timeless, and that's kind of like what you can tell the game is, or at least from my playthrough there. I didn't go and spend 1,000 hours or anything in it, but I played all the difficulties and and all that, and I enjoyed it a good deal, and I like the graphic style of that better than I like most graphic styles these days. But I kind of like the old like Super Nintendo era of a lot of 2D stuff, a lot of pixel art type of. I like that graphic style a lot.
Okay, sweet. This is actually a question for both of you. I don't think we covered this in the last episode. I know we kind of started dabbling in the action RPGs at the very end of episode 1, but what brought you outside of D4, right? Because you just had mentioned Diablo 4 was basically your first major action RPG that you dove into, right? Outside of D3, that you actually started getting traction. What brought you from the action RPG genre into Path of Exile?
I mean, it's in the same genre, right? So, I'm playing Diablo. And when you're playing Diablo, people talk about Diablo 2, and the Diablo 2 people talk about Path of Exile because they're very like almost synonymous with each other. And so it's just a game people kept bringing up. It's like, oh, you like this game? You should try Path of Exile. And then there was a very obvious, I wouldn't call it a war, but there was a very obvious, community conversation, if I'm putting it nicely, that goes on between Path of Exile and Diablo. Like that exists. And so it would be very hard for me not to notice people talking about like this game is better or whatever. Like it's borderline impossible to miss.
Right.
So people keep bringing it up all the time. I'm going to get curious about it. I'm going to try it out. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go try it out. And I start playing it, and everyone's, you got to play it, with a guide and all these third-party apps and all this shit. It's like, boys, I ain't trying to get a second job. Like, I'm trying to play a video game right now. I didn't become a Twitch streamer to have a hard life. So it's like, this is gonna, that's just kind of how I got into it. It was very, from Diablo to PoE is kind of like a natural jump, honestly.
Yeah, understandable. And quick note on that, because it cracks me up, because a lot of people will talk about like Diablo in the global chat on Path of Exile, and vice versa. People will talk about Path of Exile in the Diablo global chat or trade chat or whatever's out there. And it seems like a lot of times it comes to the end game is about telling you how bad the other game is.
Yeah.
And it's always, it's like you said, I would definitely call it like an ongoing war between the communities of Diablo versus Path of Exile, which a lot of people don't know that like GGG basically created Path of Exile on the same plate from Diablo 2. Like they literally were Diablo 2 lovers, and they wanted to make a game in the image of Diablo 2.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they said as much in, I would say, multiple interviews at this point.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think it was Gavin has a really good like historical breakdown of the company. on YouTube, in which you can kind of watch like the history of it being developed, etc. And he kind of goes through some of that. So I would highly recommend that video for people that watch and are looking for the
Who?
history into it. Gavin Gamer, I'm hopefully pronouncing that right. Gavryn.
Okay, I've heard of it. I thought you said Tavern Gaming the first time, so I was like, wait,
No,
what?
I could be mispronouncing it. Gavin, I thought is how you say his name, but he does a lot of like Path of Exile related videos.
Didn't
Yeah.
they have all the old creators at ExileCon, either one or two? And I very vividly remember, I think Chris Wilson sitting on like a panel of all these old D2 guys, and they all reminisced about how PoE was created and built around D2 and everything. I'm pretty sure there's an ExileCon clip about that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean,
say
I
so.
would assume you're correct. They talk about D2 like pretty openly. I mean, in
Yeah.
fact, they seem to be one of the companies that's like pretty willing to talk about all the games openly. It's like it's just in the last interview they had with Talkative, like he talks about Diablo 4 and Last Epoch and like a few other games like Torchlight Infinite and stuff, like because he was using them as examples. He went and played all these games to like test something. It's like the vectors of where stuff's aiming or whatever. They're getting into some technical stuff. But yeah, they pretty openly talk about other games and their inspirations from them.
Nice. And you too, Travic? And then I'll go after you.
I started Path of Exile was awkward. So I was playing D2. I still play D2. I play D2 a lot. So like I grew up playing Diablo 2. And while I was playing Diablo 2, a lot of my friends had picked up Path of Exile. And when I turned it on for the first time and I saw like the passive tree, I was hooked. So like that was like my big takeaway. I applied for the beta because all my friends apply for the beta. We all get in together, which was really cool. And I like turned the game on. I opened this passive tree and I'm like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. Because I was reminiscing about, or I was playing Final Fantasy X. Was it Final Fantasy X that had the big passive tree? I think it was X.
Could
And
be.
as soon as I was on the beach and I picked up a skill gem and I put it into the slot, I was just like, oh my God, this reminds me of Final Fantasy VII. So I have this Diablo mixed with Final Fantasy game and I start playing it. And I get a little bit, I get to like Act 3. I unlock the Scion. I try to play Scion. It's miserable. And I like put the game away forever. Like we're talking like season 1, season 2, put the game away forever, try to come back in Synthesis League. Couldn't get into it, went back to D2, played other like World of Warcraft and stuff like that. And then I gambled playing PoE on stream one day and then ended up meeting this guy, Scott. And this guy, Scott, just kind of like how Darth said, was like, hey, you really need a guide. You need this program. You need this. You need this. Like, this is going to be too much for you on stream. You don't know me, but spend 5 minutes with me. I will walk you through it. I'll join your Discord. And this guy walked me through PoE, and I ended up falling in love with it forever. And if I had never met this one guy, Scott, I probably never would have played PoE again. And this was during Legion League. And he taught me how to play. He held my hand. We farmed a headhunter together for the first, like, it was my first real league. We farmed a headhunter together. And I said to him, hey, look, I don't know you. I will trust you. Take this. You taught me how to play and made me love this game. This is yours. And he's like, you have fun. I already know what this game is like. And that was it. It was just
What a
game over
Chad.
from there. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Nice.
Okay.
Him and I have been friends since Legion League. He's like come to my house. He's like babysat my kid.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's got 2 kids now. Like I know his wife. Like we've hung out. I'm supposed to go see him soon too. He's come down for league starts. We've like land league started together. It's awesome. Yeah.
Exciting.
That's great, man. That's
Yeah.
pretty rare to have relationships like that develop that far, from
Yeah.
the online space.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Me personally, I started. It was a game. I believe it was called Sacred. I believe that was the name of it. And there was like a Sacred 1, a Sacred 2, and a Sacred 3. And it was for console, right? And this was obviously after, like, I grew up on Diablo 2. It was like one of my all-time favorites. Actually, most Blizzard games, even some of the ones that some people don't remember, I am failing to recall the name of some of them. But there's the one little side scroller with the 3 little dudes that you control in different ways. But StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2.
Oh, Lost Vikings?
That's it. Lost Vikings. Yeah.
Took me a moment there.
I couldn't even recall it. I wasn't even going to try. That's how my brain works sometimes. So I just followed down the Blizzard path. And then I found out this game called Sacred came out. And my dad took me for my birthday to go purchase a game, and it was Sacred or another game. I can't for the life of me remember the other game, but whatever it was, it might have been one of the Alone in the Darks, maybe. I can't remember, but it was for Xbox, and he said, "Pick one. Which one do you want?" And I was like, "Okay, I want this one." He was like, "Okay, you can get both," because he secretly was hoping I'd pick the Sacred game because it was a lot like Diablo. It was the whole looter shooter action RPG style game, and he wanted to play that one, so I got dubs for my birthday. Anyways, the graphic system to me was very similar, and that's when I found out much later, was it 2013, I think, that Path of Exile launched for console. So I ended up trying it. I played it. I think I played it for several hours, kind of similar to your Diablo 2 experience. I enjoyed it. It was fun, but I learned really quick it wasn't for me. I never made it to maps. I think I was one of the ones that were the exact opposite of Travic, right? I see the passive tree and I'm like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? And after that, I played it. I think my first character was the caster. Is it a witch, sorcerer, whatever?
Yeah.
I played it and got to like level 55, and that was it. Then many, many years later, after Diablo 3, Diablo Immortal, Diablo 4, I found this guy named Travic on a random YouTube video, and I was like, that game looks really cool and really fun, and I'm not as mentally preoccupied, so I was like, I'm gonna give it another shot. And honestly, I haven't even looked back. I love Path of Exile, both 1 and 2. I'm so excited for 326. I'm ready for 0.3. I'm ready for hopefully the next class. I know a lot of people all over the internet are saying Druid. So yeah, so I'm super grateful to have met Travic, and him coming here on this podcast with me has just been an epic journey that I hope continues for a long time.
Yeah, man. The best friendships you can make sometimes happen over video games, for sure. I've developed a lot of friendships online over the years that have kind of continued to propagate my gaming experience and made it a lot better. It'd be a pretty boring video game if you couldn't play with other people.
I've thought about that. I've always thought about like, what if I ever quit? What if I ever stopped doing this and I just wanted to like game in my spare time? Like, what do you do without the boys? You know, like you're gonna turn on your game and you're just gonna turn to the side and there's gonna be nothing. There's gonna be a blank monitor. Like, where are the boys? You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%.
Like every once in a while, and I bring this up because I remember I read it on your Twitter. You said, you know, every once in a while you got to have a game for yourself, and like, yeah, every once in a while you turn a game on for yourself. But I don't think I could do it, man. It'd just be so awkward to game alone nowadays.
Oh, yeah, I mean, well, to be fair, a lot of times we'll say, like, okay, like I'm gonna like Expedition 33 is the one you're referring to there. So it's like when it's every now and then when there's a game that I really want to play, it's two things. One, I don't want to get spoiled because it's like if it's a story related game, it's like someone in chat, so like there's gonna be that guy. So you know, you gotta avoid that if you really care about like wanting to play the game. And then also, obviously, I play with my girlfriend, so like we play through a lot of games together.
Me and my son do a lot of gaming together, so I get it.
Yeah, you understand. You're probably not gonna bring your kid on stream, so you know you gotta save. So you gotta save some of those for the fam.
When we're done here, I'm actually loading up Expedition 33 for the first time. I was
okay, all right.
I watched my buddy Morph played it the other day, and he banned me out of his chat. He's like, "You have to leave. You are not allowed spoilers. You have to go right now."
It's a good friend right there. That's very true. Yeah.
I'm excited. I will say, to stay on that topic of games for yourself, if you ever get the opportunity, you should play Hellblade: Sawana's Sacrifice. That is the only game I ever streamed that I regret streaming because, just kind of like how you said, it is such a masterpiece of a game, and the story and the lore and what's going on. It's the only game I ever regret streaming because of how impactful and how awesome it is as a game.
Okay, I'll add it on to the list of potentials.
Yeah, nice. strong side note, developing friends over the internet. Long story shortened for time purposes. Wizard 101 was a
Oh, yeah.
PC game, right? It was it's like an adventure card-based battle game. I actually played that game for several years. That's where I met my wife.
Really?
She lives here in Georgia. I also live here now, but I lived in California, so it was 3,000 miles apart and 3-hour time difference. And she flew out to California for a week to actually like physically meet after we obviously had engaged in conversation via phone, text, all that good stuff. And then after she was down there for a week, I was like, she's the one. And I flew out to Georgia. I was here for about a month before I flew back home and told everybody I was moving to Georgia.
That's cool.
There you go, man. I met my girlfriend online as well, so I
Hey,
understand.
it's awesome. Yeah. So back to the gaming. So the main topic today is basically action RPGs and all games in between too we enjoy, right? But the biggest question that a lot of people get asked about action RPGs in particular, Path of Exile, Diablo, and even RuneScape, right? In a sense, what holds the appeal for the action RPG genre for you? Is it the magic of chasing that perfect loot drop, or is it the endless slaying of the same monster to hopefully hit that dopamine chase item? What is it for you that keeps you drawn into these style games?
Oh boy. I think there's a few things. Is I don't like typically playing game. I mean, okay, more so now as I get older, I start to enjoy games that are more consumable. That like have an end date. We were just talking about Expedition 33, where you play a game and it's like you're done with it. Like I've never really enjoyed that style of game. Like I never really played single player story based linear style games. See, like stuff like Uncharted comes to mind. Like these are the types of games, that I typically just don't really play.
Right.
Last of Us, stuff like that. I don't really like those. With the exception of like kind of choose your own, like Detroit Become Human, were kind of fun where you get like choose your own
that's a
outcome. Like
good one.
there's some exceptions, Heavy Rain. There's some exceptions to this rule, which almost feel like a movie, as opposed to a game. But for the most part, those have been the genre I haven't enjoyed. Specifically because if I get really, really, really sucked into a game, I don't really want it to end. I mean, this is kind of like MMOs for me, right? It's like if I almost want to like have a game where you can like build a second life or something in. You know what I mean? You log in, you got your character, there's eternal progression, you're meeting other people, there's a world, there's constant updates. So the MMO style for me has tended to be the type that I get sucked into more. And ARPGs offer that same type of consistent content here. Hi, Kitty. Kitty's meowing in the background. So they have the amount of time that you can actually put into the game. First of all, has been a large influencer. Second of all, I would say that I've also enjoyed dopamine hits on the occasion. Like I used to play a decent amount of like gacha games and stuff. And so like in a way, ARPGs have some of those mechanics so you don't have to empty your wallet to get them. So you can go and kill the mobs, and then every mob potentially has something like kind of juicy in it.
That's what I said.
And so there's a little bit of a concoction of multiple things that go into the ARPGs that make you like able to play them for longer periods of time. And then of course I am a content creator. So like when I did Diablo 4 and that went well, I'm going to check out the other ARPGs to see what's around, and then I'll get sucked into some of them like I did with Path of Exile. And so I kind of consider PoE my main game at the moment. I don't know if it's necessarily ARPGs just specifically in general where it's like, oh, I found ARPGs and I fell in love with them. I don't know if it's specifically that as much as like this is what I'm playing right now. Like I see a lot of times when I do chats like this and stuff, people will be like, oh, you're an ARPG guy. It's like, I'm a gamer. Like I play games. Before people called me, yo, you're a mobile gamer. It's like, no, I played phone games for like 2 years. I picked up a phone and started playing some games, and I got roped into it, started doing YouTube content. Now it's ARPGs. At some point, whatever is another genre will be out. But like I played almost all of these genres.
Right.
And so with the exception of like, extraction shooters are kind of newer. I'm getting into Tarkov now, and that's more of
I got sucked into those for like a few months, and I I want to go back. You just find that hard pull to pull you back into it.
Yeah, I like the first experience of games, quite often the best. So, I get sucked into a game real hard and try them and kind of get bored and try something else, but ARPGs do a good job of kind of breaking up that cycle, like if PoE 1 never had an update, then I would probably never go back to it. But
Right.
like it is having an update, so here we all go.
Yep.
Okay, Tarkov question. How many teammates have met Jesus thanks to you?
Too many. Too many. Okay, so I actually have numbers on this because I got in a argument with my Starforge friend here. Where guys, I duel with him, and he does nothing but give me shit, and he's useless in the game also. So I don't know why I play with him. But when we were looking at scav statistics, I have killed 22 people on my scavs being new, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. But 18 of them were scavs. So unfortunately, the ratio of accidental team kills to real kills are it's a little too high, in one direction in particular. So
I feel like every time I turn on X and I see one of your tweets, it's killed another teammate. My bad, bro.
Yeah, well, that tends to happen. Yeah, they don't exactly have a giant neon arrow pointing at you that this is a teammate. And the other day I was playing with Cute Dog, and he was shooting his gun at somebody, and I'm like panicking because I'm getting shot at. So I'm like sprinting. I just sprint right in front of his line of fire, and he kills me. So, I managed to both kill my teammates and get myself killed by teammates at the same time.
Oh, that's funny. I like that guy. That guy's super funny.
He's actually one of my favorite streamers. He's like legitimately hilarious. Yeah.
He breaks my chops all the time because I'll go in there and I'll say hello to him and he'll pull up like he's watched every one of my videos.
Yeah.
Like he's watched every one of my videos, and one time he's like, I came by your stream and you're crazy on Twitch. I'm like, I'm not crazy. He's like, this one time you were telling this story about this and this, and I was like, oh my God, he actually watches my stream. That's so awkward. And he's like, you're crazy, bro, but your YouTube side is so chill. I'm like, I mean, one's family friendly and one's gaming with the boys. But he's funny. I like
how
him.
I feel too. I feel like Twitch is like I'm hanging out playing games. And YouTube is like, okay, I'm clocking in here. Like, I gotta be professional, Yeah,
I feel like when you're on Twitch, you could like tell a couple of jokes. You could be an adult. You could be a human. You have adult conversations. And then when you turn on, YouTube, it's my uncle's brother's son's daughter's kid's nephew's cat is watching, so I can't say meow too hard because the cat's gonna freak out. So
exactly. The amount of times that like I've met people in person who are like, I watch your YouTube, and it's never ever I watch your Twitch. It's always I've seen you on YouTube or I watch your Asmon react or whatever, So it's like it's always that stuff. So it's like YouTube. I feel like I'm gonna try to be a little bit more buttoned up and. Then when you find out your extended family members watch you and all this stuff. So it's like, you have like you're saying, your nephew's brother's, cat or whatever. That happens.
It does. I just recently started streaming on TikTok as well. And there is an absurd amount of people right in the nostalgia range of Diablo 2, which is what I've been playing as Project Diablo 2, the mod. It's a mod that does a very good job of keeping the experience very classic. But I get a lot of people in there, and I had somebody come in. Two people came in, but they both had the name Ginger. So at first, I thought like it was my brother. He's like the Ginger 89. I thought it was him, and I was talking to him like it was my brother. I was like, "How the heck did you find me here?" And he was like, "What are you talking about, dude? I'm just scrolling down my For You page," and it was literally like 15 minutes later, my brother, which was the Ginger 89, came by. I was like, what the heck? So yeah, you got to be careful on the different contents, especially when you're on like TikTok, your phone's tied to it.
You like the TikTok stream? I never tried the vertical platform streaming, but I've heard good things. I haven't tried it, but you enjoy it?
It's so going from like a chill 10 to 20 people viewer on Twitch to people on TikTok where they come in, they say something, then they're gone. That's a lot of how it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have so many people flowing through, which this is what blew my mind. Because like I said, 10 to 20 viewer Andy here. I'm just on TikTok and looking at my analytics, and it's like most streams for PD2, right, that bring that nostalgia to the age group that I'm in, I've been averaging like maximum 120, 150 viewers, and then an average of like 50 to 80, and it's like I've streamed on
Pretty
TikTok
good,
many
yeah.
times, and it's like I'd get, 200-300 unique viewers, but it was never more than like 2 or 3 people in actually watching
Sure.
at the same time. So for
No, I get
me,
that.
it's been really great, but I think it's particularly because of the game choice that I'm streaming right now too.
Yeah,
But
but people keep recommending that I should try it, and everyone does the YouTube and the multi-streaming. So I haven't really been much of a multi-streamer, but I keep kind of readjusting my stance on whether or not I should try it.
I do Twitch and YouTube at the same time, and I get a lot of people who will only watch on YouTube and a lot of people who
Yeah.
only watch on Twitch. And the people on the YouTube side are so grateful, and they constantly tell me they wish other people would do it all the time. It's definitely something
Yeah.
worth doing. You could test it for free with not to like sponsor anybody or like talk brands or anything, but Restream lets you like do it for free between 2 platforms, and it's so easy to set up. It's literally like 2-3 clicks of a button. I know Spooker does it in a little bit of a different way, but Restream is just so easy and so simple, and you'd be blown away at the people that will come to the YouTube side of it that won't come to the Twitch side of it.
Yeah, no, I bet you're right. I'll probably try it with the upcoming PoE race that's on Sunday.
you're strictly just on Twitch for the most part?
Yeah, on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Nothing against it. I was just curious. I swear I saw you live somewhere else at one point, but I guess I'm just going crazy.
I do the occasional YouTube live stream.
Okay.
Like once, like I'll do like an opening live stream for launch day of a league, or if there's an interview or something. Then I can
Gotcha,
do it on the
gotcha.
others. But I don't daily live stream it.
Ah, for sure. Okay, well, let's pull it back into the video game side of things because we love talking to content creation, but that's not what this particular podcast is about. So, back to the action RPG genres, right? Do you remember the biggest like dopamine hit, whether it was on Diablo, whether it was on Path of Exile, whether it was in an MMO game, any game of your choosing, like that big thing that like you wanted to just jump up and scream out loud? Does
a
anything
really good
stick out for
question.
you?
That's a good question. You know what? You would think I would have an answer to that off the top of my head. You would think I'd have a moment like this was the drop. And I'm sitting here realizing like I kind of don't have I don't have a Miracle to drop, right? In PoE 2, if I'm being honest, there isn't really anything that could drop. I mean, I did chance for my Gymling stat stacker in 0.1 to PoE 2 when it was atrocious on hardcore SSF.
Yep.
I chance orbed an Astramintus.
I
So
remember
like,
that.
that was probably statistically like the biggest. You got to be fucking kidding me. You know what I mean? Like that was like, I think I have done like in ATSSF, I had done like maybe 7 or 8 chance orbs total at the time. So just hitting that. And it was even more hilarious is the previous chance orb before that was on a stellar amulet and it hit the other one. I forget what it was.
Cool. Yeah.
So it was like back to back, both of the unique amulets. And then hearing the statistics from Jonathan about the drop rates of instruments as being 1 in 45,000 divine drops was wild to hear. So knowing like how actually crazy lucky that was, that probably statistically is the answer. Otherwise, it's probably going to be a RuneScape related drop, either I got a Pet or Draconic Visage. Like it'd be like something like that back in the day that would have been, probably particularly the more exciting.
Nice. How about you, Travic?
Well, I'm laughing because I watched a buddy of mine, speaking of RuneScape, get his blow pipe. I want to say it's a blow pipe.
Yeah, from Zora, yeah.
Yeah, and he threw his keyboard. He was so excited.
Must be an Iron Man. Yeah, gotta be an Iron Man then, yeah.
So excited he threw his keyboard. But I remember back in the day playing Diablo 2, and I was farming, I want to say Pindle skin. I think it was Pindle, and I remember dropping my first grandfather. And it was ever since then, my favorite item. And I remember the most heartbreaking experience was I found a grandfather. I loved it. I played a barbarian. I had a great time. And I started hardcore for the first time. And this is when I fell in love with the hardcore scene. I remember playing a barbarian in hardcore, getting a grandfather again. And I ended up killing the barbarian way back in the day because in Act 4 in the Chaos Sanctuary, the old school knights used to be able to cast Iron Maiden on you. And I remember going mid-whirlwind and getting casted Iron Maiden in normal and killing my barb. And it was heartbreaking. But yeah, it's definitely finding my first grandfather in Diablo.
Nice.
It's a
I
good drop.
I
Yeah.
still have yet on the whole holy grail thing of Diablo 2. I still have yet to hit a D-web or a bear rune. So
Those are rare.
That-
D-Web's
Is
rare.
Bear Rune is Bear Rune the root? I don't know the whole hierarchy of them. I know it's like a
not
hierarchy.
technically Zod would supposed to be the absolute highest end rune, but RNG at its finest.
It's like a tier 0.5 maybe on terms. Like if we like look at PoE, like it's slightly above like a tier 1, but it's not like a tier 0. Like your Zod, your Cham would probably be like your tier 0s, at least in PD2.
But
I don't think they changed rune drop rates though. So
call me crazy, but because of the whole non-crafting side of Path of Exile 2, I have to say my biggest dopamine hit was when I was doing my hardcore run through on the Warrior in 0.1 because everybody said Warrior bad, armor bad. So I said, okay, that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
So after about my 12th Warrior, I dropped this two-handed mace that was literally perfect. You could wear it at level 28 and it was pretty much better than any of the tier 3 two-handed maces. Yep. And I was just so excited, and about 5 minutes later I decided to vow it, and there it went.
Oh yeah, I had a mace drop like that too. So 28, that would be a temple maul. So you had the good attack speed base too.
Yep.
Like that. Yeah, that is a good mace then. No, I had one drop. I killed Oroth, and he dropped because it was the tier 4, whatever. He dropped like a good base, or a good base level, I should say, because it was the critical exploding corpse. So it's not actually a good base, but he dropped one that had like it was 200, and I want to say like 22 or 32% physical because I had all of and it had flat physical. That was crazy. Yeah. So on the top end, it just immediately had like 800 damage before, and then I vowed it to try to like get even more, and yep, there it went. Same thing. It was out the window as soon as it came, and I looked it up on trade afterwards because I always play HCS stuff, but I looked up a trade afterwards, and I apparently would have been 250 divine like before the divine, or the vow. So I was like, well, fucked that one up.
Yep, that same mace sat in the guild bank in the currency window for the entirety until like 0.2.
Yep, I feel you. I like the fracture editions now, which is nice. So you can gamble a little bit more because of the fracture. And the recombinator kind of gives you scour orb in the way, but the highs and lows in PoE2 item crafting are very, very, very high and very low.
You're either very lucky or very not, pretty much. But you are very famous for your blind runs, right? Well, you do a lot of blind runs. You go through games for like first times experience, and from what I understand, from what I watch, you don't look up stuff. You don't really like follow what chat's telling you, even though it might be the best thing in the world for you.
I mean, they're as blind as I can get as a streamer. So It's like, obviously I got I'm not going to ignore the chat for like 3 weeks. So like, when I'm playing PoE, I'm not looking up a guide. I'm not going and watching videos. And then like, sometimes someone would be like, he's not truly blind. Like he has the chat, or he must be watching some. It's like, I don't wake up 3 hours before my live stream to like watch videos for 3 hours to then fake a blind run. Bro, I'm gonna be sleeping or like going eating Cheetos or something. Like I'm not gonna do it fucking twice. Are you kidding me? So it's they're as blind as you can possibly get them when I say blind. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, according to Twitch, which this is probably way low number, right? But you've played 229 games from the Twitch database. Which
right.
What makes you enjoy the whole diving in blind? Is it just your figuring it out yourself, the puzzle aspect of it, making it yours? What about that is appeasing to you, and why do you like it?
Well, two things. The first is if you go in without like researching, then you actually get to like play the game. Like you actually get to like see what the game is. You know what I mean?
Right.
I felt the same way about D4. Like I just go in, try to make my own builds. Maybe they're dog shit. Who cares? Like I'm trying to actually play the game. You know what I mean? And I've never really been a competitive guy. So it's like I kind of don't like I don't really care if I'm the best in the game.
Right.
You know, MOBAs were the only time I really feel like remotely competitive. Like outside of that, I don't care. I've never really been a competitive person. I play the MMOs, and most of the time I'd be blabbing with people in the world chat or like, you know, doing social stuff. The game RuneScape I play, it's not even really a competitive game. I guess more competitive these days. Like people make it competitive, but you know, it's a lot of like I'm cooking lobsters, I'm cutting a tree. So it's like I'm not, you know, I'm not inherently drawn to that aspect of it. So I don't feel this need to like immediately be good. I found that more to be enjoyable as I've gotten into like Path of Exile in particular longer. You know, the more I get into it, you want to kind of develop, you know, getting better and better at the game. But going in blind lets me actually like kind of experience what is supposed to be the experience of the game, which I think is a pretty vital tool to use when it comes to like either if you're going to review something or have an opinion on it. Like I don't know how much I would really respect somebody's opinion on like understanding and learning a game if what they did is copy pasted someone else's everything and didn't actually spend the time to figure out like how the game actually works. And I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not. But what I'm
Right.
saying is like I understand what is annoying about trying to learn Path of Exile because I tried to learn Path of Exile. So it's like I'm still not remotely like someone who can make a good build or, you know, crush everything. I'm not a god gamer, but like at least I tried and failed, so I know where the failures are. So when it came to like, you know, testing Path of Exile 2 or even saying what I didn't like about Path of Exile 1 in review, I can be like, well, they have a really dog shit way of explaining things. Like
Yep.
it's very bad to learn the game. And now I understand where the drop off is because I could feel myself getting frustrated at certain points. If I have a thing open where it's like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I've done this with some builds. Like if I play a warrior, I'll go, let me go see what Karn's doing. I'll do it now because like I'm trying to beat stuff or I'm trying to learn, you know, about builds and stuff. But in the beginning, when you're trying the game, I need to feel where is the pain points in this game.
Yep.
So that I know when someone else brings up in chat, like, hey, I tried to get into Path of Exile, but like I kind of couldn't. I actually can have a conversation with them because if I skip past all of that, then the only thing I can tell that person is open up this person's guide. Zizaran did a great job in Zizaran's universe, so you can go watch this. And like that's the only answer I'll have because that's the only thing I did. And so in particular, I find it like it's sort of part of my job to like actually go through the experience that people did in the beginning. And then once I no longer feel that new player learning experience or at least get past it or, you know, I mean, the campaign took me, I think it was like 40 hours or something my first run through. I forget what it was, right? I think I had 28 deaths on the first time. So like that first playthrough I had of PoE 1, as blind as I could get, yeah, there's chat explaining what the gems do, etc. Like if I really wanted to fully true 100% blind, I have to close that and not listen to anybody and all that. But it's like that experience was more valuable to me than 1,000 hours in the in-game because I remember what it was like to be a new player. And with new players that will come to the game, maybe from even seeing my videos or whatnot, where I encourage them to try it, I can actually interact with those people. So like that's a predominant reason I do it blind. But then there's also like the entertainment section of it, which is like, okay, if I go into Path of Exile, let's see Path of Exile 1, since we're talking about ARPGs, and the first thing I do is immediately try to get good. The only experience that the viewers are going to have are someone who is subpar to somebody else. That's all they're going to They're going to watch a worse version of somebody else, basically. So it's like, are you really watching me because you think I'm going to be a good player in Path of Exile? Probably not. Like you're probably watching me because I am learning the game. That was what everyone did when they started. Or when they were watching me, my first playthrough. They're watching me suffer through trying to learn the game. And then they get to watch the moments that they ran into of like me hitting a section where I realize, oh, I have 0 damage and I can't kill this yellow mob. Like, because they've experienced that. So it's more relatable to them too. If I rob both myself and the viewers from running into the moments of failing, then the only thing I've really failed is my job, in my opinion. So I find it very crucial to both entertainment as well as information, like be able to have those experiences that other people have had in order to be able to be relevant in context of the conversation.
Good answer. I like that.
Yeah, no, I love that answer, and that's
Very,
actually
very relatable.
that's one of the reasons that keeps me coming back to your streams. Also, like you're a very chill dude, and I appreciate that. Like a lot of people that are on your scale of Twitch, which you call yourself, you're not that big, but I mean, less than 1% of Twitch people have over 100 viewers. It's actually like 0.01% of Twitch has.
Yeah, it's not
So-
an easy platform.
Right. Well, it's getting better. It's crazy how the actual like the algorithm and the whole for you, or not for you, but recommended and stuff. But anyways, outside of that, that's one of the things that keeps me in both of your guys' streams. Actually, I appreciate that whole you hit that wall, right? And then you climb over that wall, or you find a way around that wall, or hey, sometimes you find a way right through that wall. And I appreciate that because, coming from a gamer that I've never been one of the tip top gamers, when it comes to like the loot or figuring stuff out for those style of games. So it's kind of nice to have somebody experiencing the same problems that I run into. And with that, Travic does kind of you make your own builds as well, but a lot of your builds come from like a base of, oh, that shit's cool. So you want to try and recreate it. So from the other side of it, where you take that build, but you do very similar things with it, right? You take that build, but you start from the bottom and you actually show the walls that get hit lots of times, and you teach players how to overcome them. So why don't we go into that and have you kind of go through why you do that and what keeps you doing it?
So I was saying it's very relatable to what he said, because I understand and I tailor a lot of my content to those walls. I remember playing these games and hitting these walls, and I play games because it's fun and I don't need to be the best. Currency's easy. Kill mobs, get loot, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Progressing's easy. Kill mobs, get loot, progress. It's easy. It's just a time thing, and people freak out too much. So I like to spend a lot of my time progressing through things, because I think a lot of it goes back in hand with Magic the Gathering when I played back then. To fully understand how to build something from the ground up, you have to understand how it works so that you can kind of like intertwine them. So if I see a build that's really cool, I will take the build and build it exactly how that person built it. Like, we just skip the leveling process. We skip all the steps. We get a level 90 character or whatever, put all the perfect gear on it, and see how it works, how it ticks. Once we understand this works with this, that goes to this, that goes to this, and you understand the absolute flow of everything, then you can go backwards. So in Magic the Gathering, for example, you build a 75 card deck and your sideboard of 15 cards has silver bullets. Path of Exile has the same thing. Your build has silver bullets that you can alter and change, but you can't change a stat until you know why it works. So for me, I build everything perfect, understand why it works, and then I start reconstructing it backwards towards my playstyle. Once I have it to a spot where I like it and a spot that I could share it with, say, you guys, I won't just share it right away. So a lot of people yell at me like, oh my God, this looks so cool. Where's your build guide? Where's your video? Where's your this? And I was like, hold on, it doesn't work yet. And they're like, oh my God, it works. So I will then, from level 1, play it my way. You ignore people, not ignore people, but you just ignore everything and you build it from the ground up. What happens at level 1? What happens at level 2? Why did level 3 feel bad? Why did level 15 feel bad? Why did I get to this act and all of a sudden my stuff tanked? And a really good example is like in Path of Exile 2, we have rake leveling. You just stack strength, you just whirling slash, you rake, you do everything. But that hits walls. Why does that hit walls? Where does that hit walls? How do you overcome those walls? Is there gear swaps? So I spend a lot of my time before I make a guide or before I make a video understanding what makes something perfect and then deconstructing it from the ground up back to levels of perfection, but with my own twist to it. And I give a lot of credit to a lot of people. Like in Diablo 2 right now, I'm playing like this Plague Javazon, and it's not my build. It's not my everything. I'm copying a guy named Woogs, but I copied it perfectly how he did it, and now I'm readjusting it to my style and my liking. And that's a lot of what I do is I just take everything, make it perfect, and then start from the ground up. And then make sure I understand. So when like, say, DM comes by, he's like, hey, I tried to do this at level 40. Why did it break? Well, this is this is why it broke.
Right.
No, I mean you have to have people doing that for sure.
Yeah.
Because I would say, not everyone's a content creator like me or you, so that is trying to make entertaining content or be a clown show or a monkey in a cage, right? Like there's people that are just trying to progress in the game that they have to have those breakdowns. And I'm glad people like you exist, because I don't necessarily like doing build guides or breakdowns or anything like that. I kind of like just playing the games.
I love playing the game, but it's bro, it's so hard when you hear somebody go, but this sucks. And you're like, bro, it's you. And they're like, no, it's the game. And I'm like, bro, it's so hard. I do this too much and I need to stop doing this. I like somebody be like, yo, this sucks. I'm like, dude, your build is bad. It's you. It's literally you.
Yeah.
You did this. You broke this. Don't do this. And I constantly think about talking about Zizaran. I constantly think of the clip where he was like, he makes this awesome build guide and somebody just like, it's like a witch guide or something, and somebody clicks duelist, or it's a duelist guide and somebody clicks witch, and he just like loses it, and it's the funniest thing. But you know, somebody has to start from the ground up to have answers, because I'm not the best at games, like you said. I'm more entertaining than I am the best at games, but I still like to know what I'm doing so that I don't sound like a moron, even though people think I'm dumb. But I mean, like, it's kind of the whole Twitch persona, right? Like,
It's funny, the guys who do build guides, I feel like you guys have such a different experience, because I often hear from, you know, like people like Pox or anything, you know, that do ARF and whatnot. I hear like, you know, people come by and ask the same question. So you guys probably get 30, 40 times a day, you get the same question. Like my version of that is like, I'll play a game and be like, well, so what do you think so far? You know, and like every 15 seconds you gotta answer that one. But like other than that, like I always hear, you know, or I'll see on screen Pox will have like the exclamation mark RF, or like the first thing it's about is like, go to this website to see all answers to all the questions, because you guys gotta be sick of answering the same goddamn question every fucking second.
There's a league I played Hex Blast, and I played Hex Blast power charging Occultist, and for like a week I got asked why Occultist, why power chargers, why Occultist. And then in PoE 1 I played Monk, and I made a bunch of Monk content, and I did it like kind of you. I ignored everybody because it's PoE 1. Or PoE 2, I want to play it fresh. And I make all this Monk content, and my stuff's extremely similar to Milky's and extremely similar to Pox and Snoobe. But how do you make frenzy charges? How does resonance work? Where do frenzy charges come from?
Yeah.
How do you get frenzy charges? And it's like every 10 seconds. I'm like, bro, please.
It's impossible to fix this problem too, because like they're not wrong for jumping in the stream and asking a question. I mean, that's why they're on live stream.
Yeah.
And then also it's like if you don't answer them, then like you're ignoring your chat, or they'll get mad. Rather like, oh well, this guy just doesn't interact with chat. But if you do answer it, then all the people that are there, like longtime supporters, hear you say the same thing
100 times. Yeah.
And they just like, why would you watch the live stream? This guy answering the same question over and over again for hours. It's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. I've definitely had friends reach out and tell me to stop. So
yeah, it's the only thing you can do is like have chatbots. That's like, you know, you can have mods that'll type exclamation mark whatever, like that's, or pinned comment. Like that's the only answer to this I've seen.
I'm sure we can all relate, but I don't mind the question. I love the questions. Like I turn the stream on to talk to people and help people. So like
absolutely,
I never get mad. I might seem frustrated, but it's never intentional. You know, like it's like,
of course.
Yeah, I don't know. I love what we do, man. I do.
Absolutely.
I really
mean, we live in the golden age. Like I know people think that you know, gaming is dying or whatever it is, but it's like I think we're in the golden age of both gaming. Like gaming is very good right now. We're getting good. We get a lot of dog shit slop, sure, but we get a lot of good games in quantity. Okay, it's like we have options. You just got to find the good games. And then the other part is like we kind of live in the golden age of content creation. I don't think it's lasting another 5 years like it is. I think we're very lucky to be in the position where we are, not just because we got lucky enough to be able to do it for a living, but also because like the companies haven't all folded or become so unprofitable yet, or screwed over the little guy yet. I think that will happen sooner than people think it will. Especially with what's going on Twitch right now. It's like, how many times you see Twitch like change their monetization policy or try to add something else?
They're going to take money from us to give gifted subs.
Yeah, I already had to remove that from,
I gotta go remove that. I read about it last night. I gotta go take that off. But I mean, like, that's like a whole nother day for a whole nother topic. I will say, Spooker makes a good point. Like, you know, you have 219 games. And I think what a lot of people forget about video games as a whole, and the beauty of it is like gaming is so cool and gaming is so fun that just because we limit ourselves to say PoE right now, it doesn't mean that a year from now or 2 years from now, we're not looking for that next chase, that next thrill. I don't know, like, I'm learning your backstory today. I was gonna say I don't know your backstory, but like for me, like I started horror. I loved horror. I didn't stay horror. I went horror, Magic the Gathering, Lost Ark, Path of Exile. Like gaming's great, dude. And like I don't know if I could see myself playing Path of Exile for 5 more years or 10 more years, because like you said, we're in such a golden age of gaming that like there's so many cool things that why am I gonna limit myself? Because gaming is gaming, and I just want to kill mobs and get loot. I don't care what game I'm doing. I just want to kill mobs and get loot, man.
Sounds like a tattoo you need to get. Kill mobs, get loot.
Bro, the amount of time I remember very vividly. I was playing PoE. I started a league started with the boys, and the minute the first divine dropped, everybody went crazy. I'm like, dude, just take it. I don't care. And they're like, what do you mean? And then we're gaming later on, and Apothecary drops on a 5-man group. Everybody's freaking out. I'm like, just take the card. Take the card, or I'm putting in the card deleter. Like, and they're like, why don't you care? I'm like, I just want to kill mobs with the boys. Like, it's such a hard concept to understand that you just want to I just want a game, man. And like I see it a lot with my kid. My kid will be playing a game. We'll be playing a game together, and just the absolute joy of just not worrying about anything. I want that all the time. I do. That's what I want, man. That's like when we're doing this conversation now. It's just it's such a cool experience, man. Because you get to hear so many different sides of it. It's just gaming to game and just hanging out with the boys.
If you could go back to when you were a kid and redo it all, would you?
I wouldn't change anything. I know. Dude, so Spooker and I had this conversation. It's really cool. I know the exact moment in my life, and I can tell you the exact pinpoint moment of my life that I talked to one person that led me to each decision that brought me right here, and I wouldn't change a thing. I have hardships. I have stress. Everybody has hardships. Everybody has stress. But would I go back and do it again to relive everything? Absolutely. If it puts me back to this conversation today, where how my life is right here, right now, I would do it again in a heartbeat. Wouldn't think twice.
That's good, man. That's good to be able to say that. It means you're happy where you're at.
I love my life. I love where I'm at. I love what I do. I love my friends, and I'm so appreciative of this. But I mean, everybody, life sucks, right? But you make the best of it. You know, you walk away today. Go ahead. Yeah.
You find the moments to make it not suck.
Yeah, dude. This is cool. I actually DM'd Spooker in the middle of this. I was like, dude, I freaked out way too much. This whole thing, man. This whole episode is just awesome, bro. Not to get sappy and sentimental, but it's cool, man.
No, get sappy, get sentimental.
No, dude, it's cool. Me and Spooker, we chat a lot, and I talk to him a lot. I talk to my buddy Simex a lot. My buddy. Yeah, I have a couple friends that I talk to, but it's nice to get to just have real conversation. It's cool, man.
No, I mean it's. I don't think people play online games to not have conversations with people. I mean, maybe some people do, but hey, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. But from my side of it, the whole experience of the action RPG, I kind of sit in a different boat than both of you, right? Because what I love, what brings me in the action RPG genre, right, is the whole kill mobs, get loot, and my end game for these games, whether it be Diablo 4 or Path of Exile 2 or Diablo 2, you get to that end game where you have good gear, right? Now I know DM, you play a lot of hardcore solo self-found. I don't know if you've played any softcore, how much you have if you have, but I know a lot, most of the time when you're playing Path of Exile, you're on hardcore solo self-found. So it's a little bit different because my side of things, I actually will struggle. I'll ride the struggle bus probably a lot longer than I have to because I'll get this drop, and it's not necessarily a drop I need for my build, but hey, we have this guy that I hang out with. That's my buddy, the boys. And it's like, hey, I need that's for my build. So I'll give it away. It's I found, was it
Death? You found the Sork weapon 2 days ago.
Right. And I gave it to my buddy that was playing Sork, and needless to say, he corrupted it and it turned into a rare, no longer unique. But nonetheless, that's what brings me fun and joy, right? In the end game grind of action RPGs is that, yeah, I could have the best of the best loot, but I still have a reason to play because I got my buddy over here that gets to play 3 hours a week. I got my buddy over here that gets to play, an hour a night or so. And then I got, Jimmy that, he plays for 30 minutes and then he gets off. And
it's always Jimmy, man.
So that's what fuels my constant coming back, outside of updates, of course. Updates are always, great. They change things, they add things, they modify things, they bring you a new twist to what you already enjoy. So I definitely catch myself riding that struggle bus of hitting that wall of how do I how do I do this? Because if I could have sold that to buy this for my build, then I probably would be able to jump over that wall by now. But that's what keeps me in the end game grinding and loot farming for the action RPGs. Outside of I just love just the mindless. I think that was probably why Diablo 3, to me, a lot of people will argue this, but that was why Diablo 3 kind of hit me very, very good, right? It was one of those games you turn on, you start the season, you farm your season journey, you got your 6-piece set, boom, you're just slaying Torment 6 or Torment 10, Torment 13, because they keep adding torments to that game. And, so it's the mindless, just being able to turn the game on, click a few buttons, kill a bunch of stuff, and hope something cool drops on the way, right? So I enjoy that, like, mindless, not having to think too hard while still thinking about having fun playing the game. So it's...
I feel that. I mean, it's a relaxation a bit playing video games. You kind of chill out and let the stress of the day melt away a little bit.
Yeah, and that's actually surprised. When I first started streaming on Twitch, I was big into the first-person shooters. Apex Legends, Halo, and that was my thing, and I was known as like the raging mailman was basically my persona. And I just, coming back to streaming, which I've only been back to streaming for 7 months roughly. I took a couple years during the whole COVID bullshit, but I wanted to completely change that persona. So now I've just been, and this was from being able to meet probably my all-time favorite content creator, because he's such a joyous, positive, energetic dude. I'm
Barricade?
You know who I'm talking about. And that's how
that can only describe one guy.
Exactly. And that's actually how I had the pleasure of meeting you, DM. So I'm glad that he brought me into your community, and I've been hanging out since. And he brought me this whole different outlook on life, right? Like, instead of looking at all the bad things that happen, pick up all the good things, pick up the good things, spread the good things, share that positivity, and it's been such a big influence, and I've been grateful everything from meeting him and everything. And like Travic said, as far as like, if I could go back and do anything different, I'd redo it all. Every bit of the struggle all the way to, because I wouldn't be where I was today if anything changed.
Glad you bring up Barricade. He's a good guy. I've talked to him a decent amount as well. And he's definitely a positive influence on pretty much anyone that interacts with him, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. And it's been a blessing, so, because it's crazy too, like how many people go into a stream and they're looking for that reaction, right? Whether it's the rage baiter that gets banned, or it's the dude just reaching out because he just wants somebody to feel like somebody's there. So, and that's kind of what I'm trying to focus on as far as like my content and video game. And of course, I want to just turn on the video game and just play video games and not worry about anything else. But I know how it feels to be in that thing. So when somebody does come in to chat, and I'm right there. So
there's more people out there like that than you would think. Like there's a lot of people that need at least one person to talk to still.
Yep, absolutely. But back to the world of video games and action RPGs. If me and Travic have already answered this question, but we'll answer it again for you, for your sake. But any game out right now in their current state, no changes or adjustments coming or going, but right now, whether it be brand new or dating way back to your younger years, if there was one game that you could pick out of the bunch, what would it be and why?
Well, You mean I can only play one game for the rest of my life, or is it just one
Well,
game that I think is like the best
that's
game, or like give me some context
okay.
to
So it's a
the
good
answer here? 'Cause I
question.
can pick a random game and I can
A-
have a random answer.
Absolutely,
You know what?
absolutely.
Super
So
Mario World, because I like Super Mario. I mean, you know, what's the
you're right. Well,
set me up here?
I guess the context can be we had the same context, and it was the game that you get to play forever, right? And it's the current state.
Okay.
No updates, no changes. Like, and that's that instantly.
So we're talking desert island rules, is what you're saying. You're trapped on desert island. You can bring one game with you. You're stuck for the rest of your life. What is it? Okay, all right, I feel you.
There you go.
You know what? I'm gonna go Star Wars Galaxies before the combat update and the new game experience where they absolutely ruined the game. I'm talking OG Star Wars Galaxies on launch. Maybe jump to Lightspeed.
That's a
like
mobile game, right?
Absolutely not. No, you're thinking Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is something different entirely. And that was actually my first game on YouTube, by the way. But Star Wars Galaxies is an MMORPG from early 2000s that basically had its balls cut off by WoW. This is what happened. So it was a phenomenal game, and you had all of these different classes. You could be like a creature handler and tame a Rancor and have a Rancor following you. You could literally join the rebels or be a stormtrooper and all that. And this is an MMO world. The towns, other than like Mos Eisley's and the ones that are already in the Star Wars universe, and there's multiple planets and all that, the towns are actually made by the players. So when you're in your speeder and you're going, suddenly you're in a town that's created by all players that actually put down buildings like around there, and the shops are owned by players. When you buy something to have a tag, like this was made by this guy, the blacksmith, you actually need real doctors. So like you would go to like the medical office and there'll be a doctor, a real player sitting there waiting to heal somebody. You go to cantinas and the music you're hearing is by the players playing the music because they're a musician class, and then the other players in there are all there listening to it because you listen to music, you get buffs and all that. You go meet a bounty hunter, who's a player, you place a bounty on another player because fuck them, that's why. And then that bounty hunter goes to find them, okay? Cool. And then every now and then, if you're lucky, like once a year, you might see a Jedi, because no one knows how to become a Jedi, except they found out way later that the way you become a Jedi is you mastered 7 different classes. And it's completely random in what order and what classes you had to master in order to like feel the Force. And if you mastered all 7 of them correctly and you didn't know, then you would be like, you feel the Force as a whisper or whatever. And then you have to find in the middle of fucking nowhere this guy who happens to be a Force sensitive that can teach you like how to become a Jedi. So you would see every now and then, you would see like one Jedi. And when you see it, everyone on the server is just rushing to like go find who this Jedi is. Cause like, oh my God, it's a Jedi. I thought those weren't even real. And then he's like soloing everyone. You know what I mean? He's just popping off. So absolutely. Star Wars Galaxies is like the OG. The only problem with that is if it's Desert Island rules, there's no other players. And that game absolutely does not work without other players.
True.
But if you give me a time capsule and you say how it was when I was playing that game, it's going to be Star Wars Galaxies is the only game that might beat out RuneScape for me in terms of MMOs. Like it was at its peak to peak. It was very, very, very good.
Yeah.
I was surprised you had an answer that wasn't RuneScape. I was like, he's just going to say RuneScape. It's easy. It's easy. It's whole house RuneScape. Whole percentage.
I catch him.
That's why I needed the context. I needed the context for the question, because like if I'm freezing this game in time, it's Galaxies, dude. But like right now, it's RuneScape. But like if I get a choice, win.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah,
Galaxies
and not desert rules, right? Of course, it would be like the stage of the game that you enjoyed during the stage of the game, right? Like mine and Travic's were both Diablo 2 because we both grew up on it and the nostalgia from it and all that. So definitely a great answer, and like it's making me want to like why wasn't I in that game? Why didn't I get to experience that?
It had a short window because like it had a short window. It was right when MMOs were starting to come out, like early 2000s, like they're starting to get good.
Right.
But then WoW came out not that long after. It had like a year, maybe 2 years. Then WoW came out, and all of the MMOs at the time were just bleeding out to WoW because everyone's like canceling their subscriptions to go to WoW. So what do all these games do? They kill their game off by becoming a shitty version of WoW. So like that's what happened with this game is they went, okay, well we're going to WASD and then like, add the taskbar, and we're going to go from like 60 plus classes which are unique, like being a doctor or literally a musician or a dancer, to like, oh, you can only pick one of like the 7 starting classes. Like, do you have a gun? Do you use a sword? Like just stupid shit. And it just became a dog shit, like uninspired, horrible version of WoW. And then because they did that, all the players that would have continued to play the game quit the game. And so they just killed their own game. But, everyone was bleeding out the WoW and everyone had to try something.
Yep. I was actually one of the few well, I won't say one of the few, but I'm one of the people that I started my WoW playthrough, and it was like the free playthrough that you get to level 10. I didn't make it to level 10.
Yeah, WoW is not for everybody.
And it wasn't because I didn't enjoy it, because I always watched my friends playing like some of the higher level activities and that stuff. And I was like, that looks great. That looks so fun. But I couldn't make it there. So that was me.
No, I feel you. My WoW days are pretty much behind me. If they ever relaunch Classic Burning Crusade, they'll probably play that again.
Didn't they do that? I thought they did that.
They did. But, they moved it along to Wrath of the Lich King, and I played that because it was good. And now it's, they moved to Cataclysm and now Panda. And, I quit playing WoW Cataclysm. I'm going to quit playing it again at Cataclysm. So
it still requires a subscription too.
Yep.
Yeah, $15.
Terrible.
Gotcha. I think that's pretty much all the general topics, and that's about the time limit. We're hitting about that 90-minute mark, which some stuff will get edited out, like this probably too.
Everything staying from the beginning with all the bloopers. You're done for.
Drag and drop. That's it. All done.
Hey,
5 minutes.
I'm okay with that. Okay, there's no problem on my side. But anyways, was there any kind of questions or categories that you wanted to ask or talk about from you to us, being the guest star?
Where you guys want to go with the podcast? What's the, everyone's kind of got, when you start the podcast, you guys kind of come together and you're like, hey, like I have an idea, I have a theme, right? And then, you get guests, and then here you are, and you're like, hey, it's happening. So like what, when you realize that, what is it? What is your goal? What is in your perfect world, your desert island scenario here? Like, where are you going with this?
So it was me, right? I reached out to Travic, but I had been sitting on this idea for quite some time. Maybe didn't have all the layout, have all the paperwork and all the notes and all that stuff taken down. But the real direction that I got was I was reached out from another individual that invited me to a podcast. It's me, Reaper, Barricade, and Hberg. And it's all about Path of Exile 2. The state of the game, the direction, what we like, what we dislike, how what we boom, everything PoE 2, right? When we did the first episode of that, I just thought to myself, like, what am I waiting for? Like, why? So I put down this idea. I just wanted to basically just shoot the shit with random people, big, large, small, tiny, friends, not friends, acquaintances. It didn't matter to me, right? This is just something that I enjoyed, just sitting down, having a conversation with some cool dudes, whether it's people I know, whether it's people I don't know, and just have fun with it, right? Not looking for any particular outcome outside of I just enjoyed the experience. Kind of the same thing of like, I just enjoy loading up the game and playing it, right? That was just something that I didn't realize how much I liked it until I was actually a part of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
Slightly different.
Yeah.
Okay.
He approached me and he did the whole elevator pitch, right? And I took a chance with it, and I had no intentions of doing a podcast. It just wasn't on my radar because I have like my son and YouTube and Twitch and stuff. When he approached me and we just got on a call to brainstorm ideas and stuff like that, it really kind of reminded me of, this is a really good opportunity, like you said, to just kind of like talk and BS. And from streaming so much, so many people don't remember what it's like to be a kid, and so many people don't remember what it's like to just enjoy a game. And we had conversation today where you're just laughing about like killing mobs and getting loot. And if we could sit down and we could talk to people and we can remind people that games are fun, you don't have to be the best. You can be the best. You can get there. Just have a good time. Just like, there's so much negativity in the world that it's just nice to play a game and leave it at the door and kick it with your homies, man. Like, just maybe if we can like play a game and somebody will have a good time or a laugh and remember what it's like to have fun, we did our jobs,
You sound like you have a lot of appreciation that like gaming exists for you in your life.
Yeah. I have stories, man.
Yeah, same. I
Yeah.
feel it.
We all
I
have
understand.
stories, and maybe if you're interested, DM, it coming back and returning in a later episode, maybe we can discuss some of those things. If you would like, you're more than welcome to come
Anytime, bud.
appear on another episode and be at your choosing. Right now, of course, it'd be a little down the line because I'm surprised with like I was saying earlier. I'm very, very surprised with how many people have actually reached out back. Because it's just me, shot in the dark. Like you're a big content creator, right? You're busy. I know you laugh, but I messaged you and 7 other people. You were the first to even respond. Like I just had 7 people in mind, and you were the first to respond.
Because I'm not this big content creator. You keep saying, but it's like, I'm dude, dude.
But you are, right? And no matter how much you're very humble, and that's honestly why I reached out to you, is because you're very humble. You're an awesome dude. I love it. You're cool, down to earth, on stream, off stream, like just you blow me away, man. And I appreciate that. And thank you for taking my invitation. And like I said, I'd love to have another episode with you down the line. So thank you.
Sure. Well, thanks for the invite, guys.
Yeah, it's fun.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the chat.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, no, it was definitely good. And if you don't have anything else, I don't have anything else for you. So
where you can do the editing, the clap,
cutting out, the blur dissolve, which just kind of like shrinks away. Yeah,
surely high quality editing at the end here.
Yep. And if anybody, listen through this way, as far as you got any ideas or any other questions that you would like to potentially shoot towards DM on the returning episode when he has time to come back for another episode, throw it down in the comments, and we'll get back to you guys, and we'll have that big old list. So again, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Loot, Farming, and Gossip. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Static buzz in the midnight air. Travic and Spook are in the gamer's lair. Loot drops falling like a neon rain. Pixel worlds driving us insane. Halo rings light up the fight. Sonic speed blurs through the night. Diablo's demons in the dungeon's breath. Path of exile paths leading to death. Live farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide. Talk of bosses grinding bones. Legends born in gaming zones. Quests that stretch beyond the frame. In this podcast we name the game. Controllers on the heartbeat song. Spookers laugh keeps the vibe strong. Travic's words cut through the noise. Gaming tales from girls and boys. Loot farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide. Controllers hum the heartbeat song. Spookers laugh keeps the vibe strong. Travic's words cut through the noise. Gaming tales from girls and boys.